Fellas, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I mean, I look at Ben and I say, every intern here in KSE can someday run the organization. What a dream come true for you personally.
Absolutely. I mean, I said it earlier, when I got the internship here, I actually felt like I won the lottery. And just to keep furthering, it's surreal and it feels very special.
How well did you know John when he spent some time here?
Very well. We were very good friends. I told someone out there that if I could pick anyone in the world to do this with, he would be hands down the choice. So it was very amazing to hear that you get to run an NBA team with one of your best friends.
John, is he just saying that to make you feel good? Were you guys really that close?
No, we really were. Were from day one when I came here. And it was interesting because that was when COVID hit, was when I was hired. So, Ben was one of the first guys to reach out, make sure I got acclimated to the city well, and just kind of looked out for me in the office and just kind of taught me the ropes.
When you were here, what did you do? For all Nuggets fans who missed your stint here, because you left back to Minnesota with Tim pretty quickly. What did you do while you were here?
So it was interesting. Tim was a very inclusive leader. Mm-hmm. And so when I got here, there was a job description, hey, this is what's expected of you. And I always laugh and joke because I said, to this day, I have not done anything on that sheet. He literally said, hey, look, man, you have to learn on the fly. And he threw me directly into the fire. And I did literally some of everything. And I'm thankful for that because it pairs right along with Ben's story of coming in, intern levels, like and have done every single job to get to this point. So it should make you, very first and easy to lead.
So Ben, what job besides playing have you not fulfilled here? I mean, you've done it all.
Yeah, I actually think I kind of have done it all in the sense of being the G League GM the last 2 years. So kind of seeing that hat and how that works. The legal side, the cap side, immigration, league operations stuff. I got a nice experience as the interim GM during the playoffs, dealing with like referee stuff and things that I
like
never
what do you
dealt.
got to deal with referees?
Well, you're just it's like if you don't like a call, you can kind of call
Gotcha.
and ask for an explanation, and you send in clips and different things like that. I went to the GM meeting at the Combine, which was a new thing, pretty cool to do that. And so, I feel like like John said, as an intern, you've done it all, and then you just keep growing and understanding how to manage those positions better because you were in that position and you know what it feels like when your boss says this. So now you can kind of help lead with that perspective. I think it's really helpful.
I just thought of something. You were GM of the Nuggets G League. You were GM of the Wolves. You guys must have been arch rivals.
Yeah. A couple big trades, negotiations. We had 2 trades actually. So,
what trades did you go through on the G League side?
Lance Stevenson.
Yeah.
Black guys know that name.
Yes.
And then Walter Ellis.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, LaFonso's.
Yeah, exactly.
LaFonso's.
So 2 trades. Yeah.
So what was it like working against each other in that capacity?
I mean, the respect was always there.
Yeah.
And obviously, you try to get what you need and differences for your team. But I mean, it was a breeze. He shot me straight. I shot him straight, and we took care of each other.
John, the question is going to come up because you're not a guy who's been around 40 years like some dudes.
Right.
Do you have the necessary contacts in the league to get stuff done?
Yeah, I think just from my playing career and playing in both domestically, internationally, coming across so many different people and personalities, being around the game as a son of a coach, and then playing for high-level coaches, you learn what the game is about, but you're also not so rigid to understand that, hey, the game is progressing and you have to meet people on a human element. And I think that's the value that I intend to bring to this group and to the team.
Ben, a lot of Nuggets fans are wondering, what will your job be versus what will his job be? Can you quantify that?
Yeah, I think kind of the way Josh said it in our press conference, I look at it like it's a true partnership and we'll both run the whole team together. And, we're very close friends, strong colleagues, and I think we'll have a really good collaboration with all aspects. And that includes working with Coach Adelman a lot, obviously presenting our findings to Josh and ownership. I think we'll do all of it together.
Yeah, speaking of the collaboration, a coach is the guy who's on the court coaching.
Right.
How does that work then when David may come to you and say, man, I need this, and this, and that ain't working out? How do you guys work that out when he comes to you?
Hey, look, it's a conversation. You got to have a tough conversation.
Yeah.
I think you approach it with respect, but you also approach it with direct truth, so to speak. And so, I mean, you weigh the options. You kind of see what's available. You're realistic with the coach. Hey, look, this may be able to get done. If not, who can we put in this place that we already have in-house and build them into some sort of solution?
Yeah, I think it's important to know that coaches, their jobs are not to know their options. So they come to us and say, I have this issue. What are my options? And it's up to us to figure out through talking to different other teams for trades, or maybe it's a free agent. It's our job to bring him options, and then together we can make a group decision on that stuff.
Sure.
So if I asked you this during the press conference, if you guys disagree on one fundamental player or one fundamental item, how do you break that tie?
Run it through the ringer. I mean, I think a large part of the position that we're in is knowing how to staff. And so bringing in individuals who have a senior perspective that may be considered under us by title, but not in terms of knowledge, and just running that through the ringer and trying to see, hey, what makes sense on the granular level? And then at the end of the day, Josh has to make that call, but we want to take to him whatever situation it may be, with all the opportunities, with all the aspects of it, to make that final decision.
And there's inherent risk with all of these decisions. So I think it's important to just frame it the right way with, these are important strengths, these are important weaknesses, and you come to a decision based on your risk tolerance in a lot of ways too.
So when you're a junior at the University of Colorado and you decided, I'm going to go get an internship with the Nuggets, why?
I love basketball. I actually worked at the Vegas Summer League the prior year as an intern, and the Nuggets were there, and I watched a lot of things that summer and worked in a lot of different capacities, and felt very lucky to be able to have the opportunity to get an internship. I didn't know what it would entail. I just wanted to be around, and I actually told Kiki Vandeweghe, was the GM at the time, and I told him that I wanted to be here more than all my classes. And I remember him saying, well, don't flunk out of school, but you can be here a lot and learn. So that's what I did.
Well, you got a basketball education, that's for darn sure. So why law school then, after spending a couple seasons here?
I thought it was, my dad went to law school and was a talent agent, and he always explained to me the value of law school, even if you're not going to be a lawyer, because it helps you think through issues differently and separate issues. And so I thought that was important to do that. After going to law school, after one semester, I realized how much I missed basketball. I got an internship at a sports agency that summer. I stayed working at Vegas Summer League and stayed connected as much as I could. A year after I left for law school, Masai Ujiri was hired as the GM, who was a mentor of mine. So he had me come back and do an externship here during law school. And when he would be in LA and the team would come, I would see them. And so I was able to get lucky with him allowing me to come back and be a part of it just 1 year after leaving.
John, when you played at Georgetown, obviously you're a point guard. A lot of great point guards go on to basketball. Coaching, why front office over coaching?
So ironically, I did coach first. Came back after my playing career and coached at Georgetown underneath JT3 for 1 year, John Thompson third, and then 2 years underneath Patrick Ewing. And so a drastic difference in, approach and kind of terminologies, but I learned a wealth of knowledge through that. And I think getting to know those players and having some influence in recruiting, I felt it was easy to make more of an impact from the front office side. Just from a player standpoint, I was always an orchestrator, and I always had to kind of learn how to talk to certain players in different spaces and times of the game so that to get the best out of them. And I felt being on the front office side, I had more of an impact overall with that.
When I was researching John's background a little bit, Ben, you might appreciate this. I noticed that you were once a model for Lululemon. I'm wearing my Lululemon slacks, and I have many pairs. So you've inspired me to go deep into my. How'd you get that job?
Hey, look, basketball opens up an array of doors. That's all I can say. It's a cool experience. Won't be doing that again.
You just showed up to work and said, I'm going to wear your clothes and get paid. Did you get paid good for it or what?
No. Well, they gave me some clothes. That's about it, but it wasn't anything financial.
Got to ask for the discount code,
Have you ever modeled anything yourself? No?
I have not. I've not modeled. I wish I did.
He mentioned how the West is young and depth reigns supreme. It used to be the model in the NBA. You get 2 or 3 stars, you're going to contend for a championship. Now you got to have more. You got to have depth.
Yeah.
How do you gain depth? You've looked at this roster. You've looked at the payroll situation. It ain't going to be easy. Have you gone through that in your head yet?
We have. When we had conversations at length about that, I think, again, one of the main things is that we have a core group of guys who know what to do. And then with our young guys, you have a lot of different guys who have talent levels, but you have to almost kind of go back to the drawing board and say, all right, how can we develop in-house? How can we raise the level of, our 8, 9, 10 guys and bring them up to the level of starters? And I think through that, you can kind of manipulate whether it's the flow or the speed of the game so that you can rest and kind of negate that depth to where you kind of control your your offensive strategy, your defensive effectiveness.
Sir, is it fair to say then, Ben, if you want more depth, you have to be able to evaluate it. They have to play.
Yeah.
Young guys have to play.
Absolutely. I think that's obvious that you know they need opportunities. You need to see what they can do on the court. Even just summer league or going to the G League. You know, the only way to get better is to play games. You know, in the NBA now you don't practice a lot. There's, you know, the travel's crazy, a lot of games. So I think to really develop, you need to play games.
Okay, now that you're here and no longer working for Tim in Minnesota, can you reveal the secret to how the T-Wolves have beaten the Nuggets now 6 straight times?
Hey, look, the ball just didn't bounce that way some nights. You know, Tim's a firm believer that, hey, look, you can do everything you can in the world, but sometimes luck finds its way in. And, you know, sometimes that happens.
How about from your side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'll lean on him for all the secrets to their sauce. But yeah, I mean, we feel really comfortable in our group, and we'll get them.
Does it, guys? When you look at the Northwest Division, this is the toughest division of basketball. You got you guys. You got now the reigning champs, and you got Minnesota that's knocking on the door. I mean, you got competition like no other division. How challenging, how daunting is that, John?
It's challenging, but it's exciting. I mean, both of those teams hang their hats on defense, and they've done that by pressuring up the floor, getting younger, and a little bit more dynamic out front. And we just got to find ways to counteract that. You know, I think Nikola is, I know Nikola is highly intelligent in terms of IQ-wise, so he'll figure that out from his standpoint. But you know, you get a all-star caliber guard in Jamal Murray when he's coming in and firing on all cylinders. You look at the growth that CB has had. You know, you look at the shooting that Michael Porter's had. You know, AG, when those guys are healthy, you have the pieces to compete. And I think we also have the IQ to turn the corner and get those wins.
I think you also look at, you know, the group and what they did in the playoffs in kind of a unique situation, and everyone felt really proud of how hard they fought and how hard they went. So I feel like that's a really good foundation moving forward.
Ben, can you explain? Nuggets fans are asking, what are the Nuggets going to do during the draft? You don't have a draft pick. So what do you do during those hours?
We're staying locked in where we have our targets, and we'll be aggressive trying to get those guys and getting picks, you know, because we learn from you know, Tim and Calvin, and, you know, all the people we learn from, you know, are always aggressive in the draft. And so we'll lock in on, you know, every pick and see where it goes. And, you know, we'll see what happens.
Would you classify you, I'm going to ask you first.
Sure.
Are you more conservative, or are you more of a risk taker in life and decisions?
In personal life, a little more conservative.
Okay.
In other areas of life, more of a risk taker.
How about you, Ben?
I'd say probably more conservative. I think that the lawyer comes out of me, the liability side, the risk. I'd say probably more conservative in general.
When a GM from another team makes a call, who will he call? Depends on whose number he has? How does that work?
I think either one, you know, it'll be very healthy in terms of communication. So we don't really see any issues with in terms of who to call. I think we both know most of the GMs at the league at this point, and we'll just continue those relationships, and, you know, it won't matter who they call. We'll be connected all the time.
So it's feasible during the draft. The GM may call with an idea. I mean, who knows what they want to do, and the Nuggets could be active participants.
Yeah, I mean, we already have been even before he started, but since he started, you know, we've just been even more aggressive, you know, kind of bring him up to speed. So yeah, there'll be a lot of stuff going on. I don't want to, you know, promise anything, but we're always going to be aggressive, and there's plenty of opportunity at plenty of different places in the draft.
You guys filled your summer league roster yet? Are you close to filling it?
Yeah, it's pretty close. We have probably 5-6 guys that we feel good about coming. Some of it depends on the draft and how things fall. So we'll probably finalize it after the draft. But we have a good foundation so far.
So you guys both G League experience. Explain the difference. Like Trey Alexander was G League Newcomer of the Year, correct?
Rookie of the Year, yeah.
The difference between making that leap from G League to being a bona fide NBA player. How tough is it?
It's hard. It's hard because it's almost like when you win a championship 2 years ago, you know, now having a repeat, you go to have to make that 2% better, that 5%, that's the hardest part. And so I think with him, and specifically, and to answer your question, what you did in the G League is not always conducive to getting on the court up here. And you may have to sacrifice some areas of your game, but you can't let all areas become dulled down in the sense to where you can't perform in split-second situations. We think he's a good talent. We think he's you know, he plays the right way and makes sense in our system, but through summer league and other opportunities, to Ben's point earlier, experience is the best teacher. So he's got to keep playing.
Last question. You're working with the gentleman, Josh Kroenke, who played college basketball, who lives the game, bleeds the game, understands the game. It's a different dynamic than most ownership groups, right? Because the guy that's running this organization, Stan, is a huge basketball fan. His son, again, you're talking to people that know the game as well as anybody. How different is that from most teams?
I'll let him speak first because I've only been here, I guess.
It's a little different. I mean, obviously, but I think it's also refreshing because you can have candid conversations and you don't have to worry about, hey, stepping on any toes. Like, you get the subtle nuances of the game. And again, we keep talking about the margins and we keep talking about how young the game has gotten. I mean, in the NIL era of players coming in, it's a different outlook upon what they're expecting and what their expectations are for their team. And so, you got to be creative, but you had to have enough foundation of a knowledge in order to tweak those spots.
I think it's a huge benefit because Josh is really knowledgeable and smart about everything related to the team, the cap, and he knows a bunch of rules with the apron. And so to have him as someone we can just listen to and talk to through ideas is very helpful. I was able to go to London with Josh and visit Arsenal, and he was just as locked into Arsenal, and it kind of blew me away because I knew he was a basketball guy, and when I was younger, he worked in our office and kind of started here, but it's obvious how much he's grown because he can adapt to that understanding with other teams that he doesn't know the sport as well. And seeing him at Arsenal it blew my mind how locked in he was too.
All right, John, let's see how well you like Ben here. One ping pong match for the future of the free world. Ben Tenzer versus Nikola Jokic. Who you taking?
Ooh. Taking my gut.
Say the right.
Taking my gut.
I was going to say, we got to keep the big man happy.
This is going to get to Joker. That's going to get to Nikola Jokic. Gentlemen, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jake. Appreciate it, man.